Have you ever tried talking to yourself in English and then immediately realized your neighbor could hear you? You freeze, smile awkwardly, and whisper, "No, no, I'm not crazy. I'm just learning." That's the moment every solo English learner knows. When your biggest conversation partner is your own mirror. Learning English alone feels strange at first. The silence is loud. There's no teacher saying, "Good job." No classmates to laugh with when you say ship instead of sheep. It's just you, your phone, and your thoughts. You start a sentence, forget the word, and look up like, "Brain, where are you?" But here's the funny truth. That quiet, awkward space where no one is watching is the most powerful classroom in the world. Because that's where confidence is born. When you study alone, you meet the real teacher, yourself. And yes, sometimes that teacher is lazy. Sometimes they're serious. Sometimes they eat snacks in class. But they care about you more than anyone else ever could. Because they are you. So let's make this personal. Picture your desk or your bed, wherever you usually scroll through social media, and tell yourself, "Tomorrow I'll study." That place. It's your new English zone. Clean it up a bit. Put your notebook there. Maybe a small candle or a funny note that says, "No grammar, no drama." That's your first rule. Learning English alone should feel human, not heavy. When people learn with others, they wait for approval. When you learn alone, you build freedom. You can speak badly, loudly, wrongly, and nobody cares. You can repeat one word 100 times. You can pause every sentence to search Google Translate. You can talk to your spoon and say, "Hello, Mr. Spoon. How are you today?" It sounds ridiculous, but it's magic. Because your tongue is learning courage. The hardest part is not grammar. It's not vocabulary. It's staying kind to yourself when no one is clapping for you. It's saying, "I'm doing fine," even when you forget the same word again and again. You're not failing, you're rewiring your brain. English is not something you memorize. It's something you live with, argue with, laugh with, talk to your cat with. So if today you only spoke one sentence in English, that's enough. If you only watched one English video and smiled, that's enough. Because learning alone is not a race. It's a friendship between your mouth, your mind, and your heart. And that friendship starts with small sounds. You sit in your room and suddenly hear yourself say, "Good morning." It feels strange at first. You laugh a little. You think, "Am I really talking to the wall?" But then something happens. The wall doesn't answer, of course, but your brain does. It says, "Wait, that sounded English." And that tiny victory, that moment of sound and silence, is where real fluency begins. When you learn alone, your room becomes your universe. The chair becomes your classmate. The mirror becomes your best friend. And the air becomes your audience. You can say anything you want. You can make mistakes, forget words, invent new ones, and nobody will laugh. It's your stage. It's your show. You are the teacher, the student, and the comedian all at once. And believe me, you'll laugh a lot. Because sometimes you'll try to say something deep and beautiful, like, "I'm grateful for everything." But instead it comes out as, "I am grateful." You pause, blink, and then start laughing until you can't breathe. That's learning. That's real English. Mistakes are not walls, they are doors. Every wrong word is a step closer to the right one. So make noise. Every single day. Whisper, sing, read out loud. Repeat lines from your favorite show. Talk about your breakfast, your socks, your dreams. You don't need fancy topics. You need connection. The goal is not to impress. The goal is to express. Speak even if your accent sounds like 5 different countries mixed together. Speak even if your grammar feels broken. Broken English spoken bravely is more beautiful than perfect silence. Try this. When you cook, talk to your food. Hello, egg. Today you will be delicious. When you clean, talk to your broom. We are a good team, my friend. When you shower, describe your day like a news reporter. Today, the weather in my mind is partly cloudy with a chance of laziness. These little jokes keep your energy alive. They stop English from becoming a boring subject. They turn it into a living language that dances with you. At night, before sleeping, whisper to yourself, I spoke today. I used my voice. I grew. Your brain will remember that feeling. It will start connecting English with comfort, not fear. And that's important because your brain doesn't learn when it's scared. It learns when it feels safe, when it feels joy. That's why laughter is not just fun, it's smart. You see, when you study alone, there are no grades. There is only rhythm. Some days you'll feel strong, some days tired. But the secret is this: never stop making sound. Your mouth needs repetition the way a dancer needs music. The more you use it, the more natural it feels. One day, you'll open your mouth, and the words will just come. Not because you studied harder, but because you talked to your walls long enough to make them your friends. And once the walls know your voice, they remind you how far you've come. You say something in English without thinking, and suddenly it feels normal. Not perfect, not beautiful, but real. You catch yourself answering your own question, should I cook now or later? In English. You smile because that's when English starts living inside you, not just inside your notebook. People often say, I can understand English, but I can't speak. The truth is, you can. You just don't give yourself enough chances. You're waiting for someone to talk to you first, for a conversation partner who never comes. But guess what? You already have the best partner possible, your daily life. When you learn alone, the world becomes your practice field. Every object is a word. Every action is a sentence. You don't need grammar books all day. You need awareness. When you pick up your phone, say, I'm checking messages. When you open the fridge, say, I'm looking for milk. When you walk outside, think, it's sunny. I like this weather. These small thoughts are the roots of big fluency. Let's be honest, it's not easy. Some days you'll wake up and say, not today. I'm tired. That's okay. Fluency doesn't grow from perfection. It grows from persistence. Even a few words whispered half asleep are better than silence. You're training your tongue, your ears, your brain, not for tests, but for life. Try an experiment. For 1 full hour, live your normal life, but keep your thoughts in English. Don't force it. Just translate what's already happening. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm late again. Why is my coffee so hot? You'll laugh at how many funny little stories you tell yourself. That's language in motion, alive, flexible, yours. And yes, sometimes your mind will mix 2 languages. That's normal. Your brain is like a busy city with new roads being built. The traffic might be messy, but soon it flows. The more you use English in small, ordinary moments, the faster it becomes natural. You're not just studying words. You're building roads inside your brain where thoughts can travel freely. And when you start thinking in English, something amazing happens. You stop translating feelings. You don't think, how do I say this? You just say it. It's like dancing without counting the steps. You move because the rhythm is already in your body. So don't wait for someone to appear on a video call to practice. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Talk to your coffee, your shoes, your reflection. Laugh when you forget a word. Invent one if you have to. Because every time you speak, you teach your brain to trust your voice. And soon, your voice won't just fill your room, it begins to echo in your mind, even when you're quiet. You walk down the street, see a shop sign in English, and your brain whispers the words automatically. You hear a song, and suddenly you understand a line without subtitles. That small spark of recognition feels like magic. You realize, I'm not learning English anymore. I'm living it. But here's the funny part. Nobody around you even knows how much work your brain is doing. You could be standing in line for coffee, smiling like a secret agent, repeating phrases in your head. The barista says, "Next, please," and you answer confidently, "One cappuccino, please." It's a small moment, but inside, it feels like a victory parade. You want to high-five yourself. Learning alone means celebrating small victories loudly in your heart. Nobody claps for you, so you must clap for yourself. Every sentence spoken, every word remembered, every mistake corrected, that's progress. You are training not only your mouth, but your mind to believe in you. And here's something interesting. When you start hearing English in your head all the time, don't try to stop it. That's a good sign. It means your subconscious is switching languages. The same way you think, "I'm hungry." In your first language, soon you'll think, "I need food." That's fluency quietly building itself behind the scenes. Try this little game. When you walk outside, describe what you see in English, not out loud, just in your head. That man has a blue jacket. The bus is late again. The air smells like rain. It's not grammar practice. It's awareness training. You're building an English voice that never turns off. And one day, that voice will guide you through every conversation with confidence. Of course, there will be funny moments. Maybe you'll forget how to say something simple, like toothbrush, and instead say, mouth stick. People might look confused, but you'll laugh. That laughter is proof that you're free. You're not afraid of mistakes anymore. You're a traveler in a new world, and travelers sometimes get lost, but they always find the view worth it. When you study alone, no one is watching your progress, and that's beautiful. You're free to fail 1,000 times, free to sound strange, free to invent your rhythm. You can speak fast, slow, loud, soft. Nobody grades you. You are the teacher and the artist. English is your canvas. Some days, your sentences will feel clumsy. Other days, they'll flow like a song. Don't judge the days, collect them. Every single one adds color to your story. Because fluency doesn't come on one lucky morning. It grows quietly through hundreds of ordinary ones. And in those quiet mornings, when you sit with your tea, repeating simple words, something inside begins to change. It doesn't arrive with a loud sound or a big announcement. It comes softly, like a new friend who knocks every morning and says, "Hey, let's practice a little." You don't even notice how much you've grown until one day you open an English video, understand everything, and realize, wait, I didn't translate that in my head. That's the quiet miracle of consistency. It's not fast, but it's forever. At first, you studied because you wanted results. But slowly, studying became part of your life, like brushing your teeth or making tea. You no longer ask, "Should I practice today?" You just do it. That's the moment when English stops being homework and starts being home. You're not forcing yourself anymore. You're feeding your curiosity. Let's be honest, though, not every day feels good. Some mornings you'll wake up and say, "I hate phrasal verbs." You'll stare at your notes, and your notes will stare back. On those days, don't quit. Change the flavor. Watch a funny English video, sing loudly in the shower, or write a short letter to yourself in English. "Dear me, we're still doing great." Learning alone means you can be flexible. There's no wrong way to keep moving forward. Here's a secret most people never learn. Repetition is not boring when you add emotion to it. When you repeat the same English words with a smile, your brain connects them with joy, not pressure. So instead of saying, I must study, say, I get to study. A small change of words changes your energy. Sometimes you'll feel like you're not improving, like you're stuck. But your brain is quietly rearranging itself inside. It's building faster roads between ideas. You don't see it yet, but progress is happening behind the curtain. Think of it like rain watering the ground at night. You don't see the plants grow, but in the morning, everything is greener. You're also building discipline, the kind that doesn't shout. Discipline isn't waking up at 5 a.m. every day with superhero energy. It's whispering, just one more sentence, when you want to give up. It's opening your notebook even when your bed looks too comfortable. It's saying, let's try again. That quiet discipline is what turns small actions into unstoppable strength. And maybe, without noticing, your life around you starts to change too. You begin to think differently, not just in English, but about yourself. You realize you can learn things alone. You can depend on yourself. You don't need permission to grow. English becomes proof of something bigger, that you are capable of creating your own path. So every time you whisper a new word, every time you laugh at your own mistake, every time you sit down alone and still try, you are not just learning a language. You are becoming someone stronger, calmer, and braver. And one evening, after another quiet study session, you'll close your notebook, look around your room, and feel something strange in the air. It's not because the walls have changed. It's because you have. The same room that once felt empty now feels full of voices, colors, and rhythm. Every corner reminds you of a word you learned there. The chair where you once sat frustrated now feels like an old friend. The air itself carries little pieces of English, like soft echoes of your own progress. You start to notice how sound fills silence. Maybe you used to hate studying alone, but now you find peace in it. You enjoy the gentle click of your pen, the soft hum of your voice, the rhythm of your thoughts in English. It's no longer lonely. It's yours. You built this space. You built this connection. And slowly, the language begins to build you back. Sometimes, when you're reading or listening, you'll get lost in it. You'll forget you're studying. You'll just be there, inside the story, inside the sound. That's flow. That's when English becomes not something you do, but something you are. And that feeling, that deep, quiet flow, is what most learners never find, because they never stay long enough to reach it. But you did. Here's a little trick to make your room feel even more alive. Change your environment with English energy. Put a sticky note on the wall that says, keep going. Name objects around you. Table, lamp, window, dream. It might seem childish, but your brain loves play. It learns best when you smile. Every label, every word in sight, keeps English breathing around you. And yes, sometimes you'll still lose focus. You'll reach for your phone, scroll, and realize 20 minutes are gone. Don't panic. Just laugh and come back. English is not a jealous friend. It always forgives you. The real power is not in never getting distracted. It's in always returning. You can even add sound to your world. Play English music while cleaning. Listen to podcasts while walking. Let the rhythm of English follow you like background music to your day. It doesn't matter if you understand every word. What matters is that your ears stay open, your mind stays curious, and your heart stays connected. Because one day, when someone talks to you in English out of nowhere, maybe a tourist asking for directions, maybe a stranger on the bus, you'll answer without fear. Your voice will just know. It will come out naturally, confidently, calmly. And in that moment, you'll realize something incredible. You didn't just learn English in your room. You transformed it into your world. And when your world speaks English with you, it feels like magic, doesn't it? You step outside, and suddenly the world you once feared starts speaking your language, literally. You hear a tourist say, "Excuse me," and your heart doesn't panic this time. Your mouth just opens, calm and steady, and says, "Sure, how can I help?" The person smiles, thanks you, walks away, and you stand there like, "Wait, did that just happen?" You want to run home and tell your notebook, "We did it." That's the quiet victory every self-learner dreams of. The first real conversation. The first real proof that all those nights talking to your walls were worth it. Because when English begins to move from your room to the real world, you stop feeling like a student. You start feeling like a citizen of something bigger, the world itself. You'll notice something funny too. When you talk in English to real people, your voice sounds different. It's softer, warmer, almost like your brain is saying, "Finally, we're being used." And yes, maybe your accent shakes a bit. Maybe your grammar runs away for a moment, but it doesn't matter. The most powerful thing in that moment isn't your vocabulary, it's your courage. Courage changes everything. Courage makes mistakes look like stories. You tell someone, "I have much hunger," instead of, "I'm very hungry," and they still understand you. They smile, maybe even correct you gently. And you smile back, not embarrassed, but grateful. Because now you know something important. Communication is more powerful than perfection. If you ever feel nervous talking to strangers, remember this. Nobody's judging your English as much as you think. People care about your energy, your tone, your kindness. If you speak with sincerity, even broken words can touch hearts. A small thank you said with warmth is better than a perfect speech said with fear. Here's a simple exercise. Every week, talk to one new person in English. It could be a shopkeeper, a classmate online, a fellow learner in a comment section. Just one person. Don't try to impress them. Try to connect. Ask simple questions. Where are you from? What do you like doing? Listen carefully. Respond with honesty. That's not practice. That's life in English. And if you can't find anyone to talk to, no problem. The internet is full of voices waiting to meet yours. Write one comment in English today. Post one small thought. "I'm learning English alone, and I'm proud." That single sentence might inspire someone on the other side of the world who's also sitting alone with their notebook, wondering if they can do it. You might never meet, but you'll share the same quiet courage. That's how English works. It's not just a language. It's a bridge. And when you start walking across it, you realize that you were never truly alone. There were always people waiting on the other side, waving, smiling, ready to listen. And the more you walk across that bridge, it doesn't just connect you to people. It starts leading you somewhere new. You begin to notice that English isn't only about words anymore. It's about freedom. You can read stories from faraway places. You can understand jokes from other cultures. You can watch movies without subtitles and suddenly laugh at the right moment. The world, once distant and mysterious, becomes your neighborhood. But here's the secret most learners never discover. English doesn't just give you access to the world. It gives you access to yourself. You start discovering parts of you that were quiet before. You begin to think more deeply because you have new words to describe your feelings. When you say, "I'm proud of myself," it hits differently in English. It feels real, like a truth you finally learned how to say. The road of self-learning is long, but the view is beautiful. Some days it's smooth, other days it's full of bumps and confusion. You'll forget words you knew yesterday. You'll mispronounce something funny, like beach. And yes, that one can be dangerous. But laughter will always save you. Because when you can laugh at your mistakes, you control them. They no longer control you. Here's something powerful to try. Once a week, write a small diary in English. Don't make it perfect. Just write how you feel, what you did, what you dream about. Today I was tired, but I still studied. I listened to an English song and understood one new word. I made a mistake, but I didn't stop. Those lines are your footprints on the road. One day, you'll look back and see how far you've walked, one sentence at a time. You might not realize it, but your brain is building something incredible. Every new word is like a brick, every sentence a piece of architecture. You are literally constructing a new version of yourself, a bilingual you, a stronger you. The person who once said, "I can't do it," is slowly disappearing. And the new voice, calm and confident, says, "I can." Sometimes people will ask, "Who taught you English?" And you'll smile quietly because you know the truth. No one and everyone. The walls, the videos, the laughter, the lonely nights, the stubborn mornings, they were all your teachers. And you'll realize something else, something deeper. Mastering English alone wasn't just about the language. It was about patience, discipline, self-love. It was about learning to be your own supporter when no one was clapping, to believe in progress when no one else could see it. Because this road doesn't end with perfect pronunciation or fancy words. It ends when you can look in the mirror, speak one honest sentence in English, and feel peace. And once that peace arrives, something unexpected begins to grow again. It doesn't shout. It doesn't make a big entrance. It just sits quietly inside you like a warm light, soft but steady. You wake up one morning, stretch, and before even realizing it, you start thinking in English. What time is it? I'm hungry. Let's make coffee. You laugh because it feels so natural now. You used to chase English. Now English follows you. Confidence is not about knowing every word. It's about not being afraid of the ones you don't. It's the small smile you wear when someone doesn't understand you. And instead of panicking, you try again. It's the calm voice inside saying, "It's okay. I'll get it next time." That's the real victory. Not perfect grammar, but peaceful courage. Do you remember how nervous you felt in the beginning? The silence, the fear, the endless self-doubt? Now, that fear is smaller, weaker. Because every time you spoke, even when you didn't feel ready, you proved something to yourself. That bravery doesn't wait for confidence. It creates it. Here's the funny part. When you become confident, people notice. You don't have to tell anyone you're improving. Your energy does it for you. Your shoulders straighten a little. Your voice becomes warmer. Even your pauses sound intentional. You're not just speaking English anymore. You're communicating. And people feel it. But confidence needs care, just like a plant. You can't water it once and expect it to grow forever. You need to feed it every day with small actions. A few minutes of listening. A few sentences of writing. A few words of kindness to yourself. Say, "I'm doing great." Say, "I'm proud of my effort." These words matter. Because the more your mouth speaks kindness, the stronger your mind believes it. Don't compare yourself with others. Their journey isn't yours. You might learn slower, faster, differently. It doesn't matter. The only real competition is between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming now. Progress is quiet, personal, invisible at first, but it's always there. You'll start to enjoy mistakes too. They'll stop feeling like failures and start feeling like funny stories. You'll tell your friends, "I once said I'm boring instead of I'm bored," and the teacher laughed for 10 minutes. And instead of shame, you'll feel pride. Because that mistake means you tried. You opened your mouth. You were brave. That's how confidence blooms. Not from perfection, but from persistence mixed with humor. And once it blooms, it spreads. It colors how you walk, how you speak, how you dream. And the moment you realize this, something even stronger begins to grow beneath that confidence. a hunger, a quiet fire that whispers, "What else can I learn? What else can I become?" It doesn't burn wildly, it glows. It starts as a soft heat in your chest, that feeling that says, "I can do more." You open your notebook, look at your old sentences, and smile. They look small now, like footprints from another version of you. You're proud, but you're also curious. "What's next?" you whisper. And that whisper is the beginning of mastery. See, confidence is the first mountain, but curiosity, that's the sky. Once you believe you can climb, you start wondering what's beyond the clouds. That's what happens when you learn alone. You stop studying just to pass time. You start studying because it makes you feel alive. You no longer learn English for someone else's approval. You do it because every new word gives you a new world. You'll notice your mind changing in quiet ways. You don't wait for motivation anymore. You create it. You don't say, "I'll study if I have time." You make time. You don't say, "Maybe one day I'll be fluent." You say, "I'm already becoming fluent." You don't dream of being confident someday. You act confident today. That's not arrogance. That's training your brain to expect success. Here's a truth many people never understand. Motivation is a guest, but discipline is a roommate. Motivation visits sometimes, says nice things, and leaves. But discipline stays with you, even when you're tired, bored, busy, or scared. Discipline is when you sit down to practice 5 minutes because you said you would, not because you feel like it. So build your English routine like a daily ritual. It doesn't need to be long or perfect. Maybe 10 minutes of reading before bed. Maybe 5 minutes of speaking while making tea. Maybe one podcast on your way to work. These small flames, repeated every day, keep your fire alive. And when that fire burns long enough, something amazing happens. English stops being study time. It becomes the background music of your life. You start listening to songs differently. You start thinking in short English phrases. You start dreaming of conversations that haven't happened yet. The language moves from your notebook to your bloodstream. Of course, there will be cold days. Days when the fire feels weak, when your thoughts say, "What's the point?" On those days, don't fight the fire, feed it gently. Watch a funny English video. Read an inspiring quote. Listen to your favorite teacher's voice. Do something small that reminds you why you started. The flame will rise again. Because here's the secret. The fire inside you is not about English. It's about awakening the part of you that refuses to give up. The part that believes in better days. The part that whispers, "If I can learn a whole new language by myself, what else can I do?" That question is the beginning of a new chapter. Because when you realize your fire isn't just for studying, but for living, the whole world begins to feel different, brighter, wider, full of open doors you never saw before. And as those doors start opening, you almost don't believe it at first. For so long, English was something you practiced in secret, in small whispers, in your quiet room. And now suddenly, it's taking you places. You get an email written in English, and you understand it. You meet someone from another country, and you speak without fear. You watch a movie without subtitles, and you laugh at the right moment. It feels like magic, but it's not. It's you. It's every moment you didn't quit. Every morning you whispered one more sentence. The doors don't open because you got lucky. They open because you built the keys yourself, word by word, habit by habit, belief by belief. Each time you faced your fear and spoke anyway, you shaped a new key. Each time you kept going on a bad day, you made another one. Now those keys fit perfectly into doors you never thought you'd touch. Maybe you get your first English job interview. Maybe a traveler asks you for help, and you answer like it's nothing. Maybe you read a book that once looked impossible, and feel like you're flying through it. You start to realize something powerful. English is not just a skill anymore. It's a passport. It doesn't just open opportunities outside of you. It opens courage inside of you. And when you walk through those new doors, your world becomes bigger. You begin meeting people who think differently, live differently, dream differently. Some days, you'll feel small next to them. But instead of fear, you'll feel excitement. Because you know now that being a beginner is not shameful, it's beautiful. It means you're still growing. It means there are still mountains to climb. Here's something funny. When you speak to others in English, you'll realize how many people are also scared. You'll see their nervous smiles, their searching eyes, their quiet pauses, just like yours used to be. And suddenly, you'll become the person who says, "It's okay. Take your time." You'll become the encourager, the helper, the one who remembers how hard it feels in the beginning. That's when you truly know you've changed, when your confidence becomes a gift for others. But remember, even as the doors open, don't rush. Don't start running just because the path is clear. Walk slowly. Enjoy the view. Keep your heart soft, your humor alive. Because English is not a finish line, it's a friendship. You and the language will keep discovering each other for years, through new accents, new words, new stories. And one day, you'll look back and realize that what began as a lonely study session in your small room became a lifelong journey of courage, laughter, and light. And somewhere deep inside, as you walk through those open doors, a quiet voice whispers again. If I can go this far alone, that thought stays with you like an echo. If I can go this far alone. It repeats softly in your mind as you walk down a crowded street or sit quietly at your desk. You begin to see it. You were never really alone in this journey. The whole time, English was walking beside you. Every video, every voice, every quote, every page, they were companions, invisible but real. And somehow, they turned your loneliness into power. You start remembering the early days, how scared you were to speak out loud, how heavy every new word felt, how embarrassed you felt after every mistake. You look back and smile because that version of you had no idea how strong they were. They didn't quit, even when no one was cheering. They didn't stop, even when progress was invisible. That quiet bravery deserves a medal. So take a moment and give it to yourself. It's strange, isn't it? You thought you were learning a language, but you were actually learning patience. You thought you were studying grammar, but you were studying resilience. You thought you were memorizing words, but you were building self-trust. You were creating a voice that doesn't just speak English, it speaks hope. Now, when you open your mouth, you're not just sharing information. You're sharing your story. Your accent, your rhythm, your small pauses, they're all part of it. They tell the world, I built this. I worked for this. And that story has beauty. Because fluency without struggle is easy to forget. But fluency built alone, that shines forever. Here's something most people don't realize. Learning a language alone teaches you how to love silence. You stop fearing it. You stop needing constant validation. You learn that progress can grow quietly, like a flower blooming in the dark. And that kind of strength doesn't just help you speak English. It helps you face life. Because after mastering something as big as a language on your own, life's other challenges start looking smaller. You've trained your brain to stay calm under pressure. You've trained your heart to keep believing. You've trained your spirit to rise, even when it's tired. So when new problems appear, work stress, family issues, fear of the future, you won't say, I can't. You'll smile and think, if I could learn English alone, I can handle this too. And that's when the real transformation begins. When English stops being your goal and becomes your reminder of what's possible. Every time you speak, it's like a quiet celebration of who you've become: a learner, a dreamer, a fighter, a believer. And while you sit there, smiling at your progress, something even deeper starts to appear: a sense of connection, not just with English, but with the whole world that speaks it. Because now you finally understand what it means to belong everywhere. You don't just study English now, you live in it. The world itself becomes your teacher, and every moment feels like a lesson waiting to happen. You walk through a busy street, overhear two tourists talking, and your ears wake up. Your brain starts decoding their words automatically, like a secret power. You catch one new phrase and whisper it to yourself. Oh, that's how they say it. It's such a small thing, but it feels like treasure. Soon, everything around you starts to teach you something. A movie line becomes a grammar rule. A meme becomes a vocabulary lesson. A song lyric becomes your emotional diary. You stop separating study time from lifetime. They blend together. You're learning without pressure, without fear, without schedule. It's natural now, like breathing. And as you start to understand more, your curiosity expands. You want to read books you never touched before, listen to ideas you never knew existed, explore cultures you never understood. English becomes your bridge to humanity. Through it, you meet people online who live oceans away but laugh at the same jokes. You realize that connection doesn't need perfection. It only needs sincerity. Sometimes, you'll talk to someone from another country, and they'll say, "Your English is really good." You'll smile politely, but deep inside, you'll think, it's not just English. It's years of effort. It's nights of talking to myself, mornings of listening, afternoons of writing, moments of not giving up. And that quiet pride, that secret smile, it's worth more than any certificate. The best part? You start helping others. A friend asks for tips, and suddenly you become the teacher you once wished you had. You tell them, start small. Don't be afraid. Laugh at your mistakes. You watch their eyes light up, and you feel something powerful: the joy of giving back. You're no longer the lonely learner. You're part of a living chain of learners, passing on courage like a candle flame that never dies. But as your English world grows bigger, your heart grows softer too. You start to listen more than you speak. You realize that every accent carries a story, every mistake carries bravery. You see beauty where you once saw difference. English has trained your empathy, your ability to understand people beyond borders. And slowly, you begin to notice something else. The world doesn't feel as scary anymore. You're no longer hiding in your comfort zone. You're exploring. You're curious. You're free. You've built a mind that welcomes new things instead of fearing them. And yet, even as you feel this freedom, you know there's still one final lesson waiting. One that has nothing to do with words and everything to do with silence. Because after the noise of learning, after all the effort and repetition, comes a quieter wisdom, the kind that lives in your heart, not just your tongue. And that wisdom begins to whisper. It doesn't come with lessons or lists. It just arrives one calm evening when you're sitting alone, maybe with a cup of tea, maybe just staring at the sky. You realize you haven't said a word in 10 minutes, but inside your head, everything is still alive. English thoughts, old memories, new dreams. The silence doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels full, full of meaning, full of peace. You've stopped trying to prove that you can speak and started enjoying the fact that you can understand. That's when you understand the real secret. Learning English alone was never only about speaking to others. It was about learning to listen to the world, to your mind, to your heart. You start hearing the small details you used to miss. the rhythm of sentences, the emotion in voices, the way one simple word can change everything. English stops being noise. It becomes music. You read a line from a book and it hits differently. Be still, it says, and know. You smile because that's exactly what you've become, still and knowing. You know what patience feels like now. You know what persistence sounds like. You know what it means to grow quietly, without applause, without witnesses. You found strength in solitude. There's a beautiful irony in this stage of learning. In the beginning, you feared being alone. You begged for teachers, partners, guidance. But now you've mastered the art of your own company. You can sit in silence with English in your mind, and it feels like being with an old friend, one who doesn't rush you, doesn't judge you, just sits beside you and breathes the same air. And that silence, that quiet connection, becomes the space where real creativity begins. Suddenly, you want to write something. Maybe a short poem in English. Maybe a journal entry. Maybe just one simple line that describes how far you've come. You write, "I'm not afraid anymore." And you feel the truth of it deep in your bones. Silence teaches you things no classroom can. It teaches you humility, that you don't have to know everything to be wise. It teaches you gratitude, that even the smallest progress is a miracle. It teaches you peace, that your worth doesn't depend on how fast you speak or how perfectly you write. You realize that English, like life, doesn't reward the loudest voice. It rewards the most consistent one. And from that silence grows something even more powerful than confidence, clarity. You begin to see your whole journey clearly. The fear, the laughter, the discipline, the long nights, the small steps. You see how every moment shaped you. And instead of thinking, "I'm learning English," you start thinking, "I'm learning me." Because the language you were mastering all along wasn't just English. It was the language of your own soul. And when you finally understand that, it feels like arriving home after a long, beautiful journey. Not a perfect one, not always easy, but yours. You look around at your books, your notes, your old scribbles, your headphones, and every little thing has a story now. Each mistake was a teacher. Each small victory was a step. Each day you kept going alone was proof that you could create something powerful out of nothing but effort and belief. You sit there and realize you didn't just learn English. You learned patience. You learned courage. You learned how to start again and again and again. You learned that strength isn't loud, it's steady. It's the quiet voice that says, "One more try," even when no one is listening. When you speak English now, your words carry all that strength. They carry your journey. Your accent is not an imperfection, it's your fingerprint. It tells the world, "I built this voice with my own hands." Every sound you make has meaning, history, emotion. Every sentence is alive with effort and truth. That's what makes it beautiful. You start to understand why this journey mattered so much. It was never about sounding native. It was about sounding real. It was about finding a way to express the deepest parts of you, the ones you couldn't say before. Because sometimes, when you learn a new language, you don't just gain new words, you gain new emotions. You gain a new version of yourself who sees the world differently. And that version of you, calm, brave, creative, starts speaking not only in English, but in confidence, in kindness, in hope. You become the kind of person who inspires others just by existing. Someone might see your progress, hear your story, and think, "If they can do it, maybe I can too." That's the quiet power of growth. It doesn't just change you, it changes everyone who sees you. So as you sit there, take one deep breath. Whisper one last sentence to yourself. I did it. Feel the weight of those words. You did it. Not perfectly, but honestly. You did it without teachers, without applause, without shortcuts. You did it with discipline, laughter, and heart. And now, something magical happens. You realize the journey never really ends. English will keep growing with you, just like you'll keep growing with it. There will always be new words, new stories, new lessons. But from now on, you won't walk afraid. You'll walk curious, open, ready. Because you're no longer just a student. You're a creator of your own path. You've built a life where language and purpose meet. A life that speaks softly, clearly, bravely. So close your notebook, but not your heart. Smile at your reflection. Say, in simple, proud English, I am still learning. And that means I am still alive. And somewhere, deep inside that silence you once feared, you hear a soft reply, your own voice, stronger than ever. Yes, you did it. And you're just getting started.